Constitution coach and Victory News contributor Rick Green. Rick, okay, Judge Reinhardt, will he unseal that affidavit tomorrow and let Americans know what's going on with the DOJ, FBI, and the former president?
Well, I hope so. I don't know that it'll reveal much more than what we already know. We know this is a witch hunt. We know it's an abuse of federal power. I have to check my temperature because I keep finding myself agreeing with Alan Dershowitz, which I never used to agree with Alan Dershowitz, but he's 100% right. I was talking about this on my radio program yesterday. You can't prevent someone from running for president based on these crazy indictments. What they're trying to do is somehow switch this thing back to a, quote, insurrection, which everybody knows or should know that never happened anywhere, and Donald Trump certainly was not part of that. But if they can get to that point, then they could prevent him from running for office. But he hasn't been convicted of an impeachment and barred from running for office, which one clause of the Constitution does allow for, and he hasn't been convicted of participating in an insurrection. So I think it's all just perception. They just want people they'd love to arrest him and haul him off in handcuffs and let the American people see that. But I think the affidavit won't tell us much more than what we already know.
Yeah, Dershowitz has what's in short supply on the left. That's called common sense. All right,
That's
President Biden squeezed in the Inflation Reduction Act between two vacations, bless his heart. Giddy Chuck Schumer clapping and Joe Manchin pocketing the signature pen. Now, our friend Chris Ann Hall said that Joe Manchin got the pen, but the rest of America got the shaft. What's the bottom line for the action for the average Americans on this thing, Rick?
Well, it's a horrible bill. It has nothing to do with reducing inflation. It'll only increase inflation. And also, it's all about the climate change hoax. It's going to spend nearly $400 billion to do nothing, to not help change anything. They even admit that in their data. So it's another boondoggle. If you watch that clip, it's like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. I mean, my goodness, these people are cheering on the destruction of our country, and they all look like they ought to be put out to pasture.
All right, I want you to listen to Joe Biden's promise on Ukraine and Tulsi Gabbard's response.
As we do this, I'm going to take robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours.
Now, there are costs for us, but it's not Joe Biden paying the price. Vladimir Putin is not either. Russia's energy revenue is higher now than before the war in Ukraine began.
All right, we have invested billions in Ukraine's battle against Russia and are living under inflation, and people in Europe are facing energy shortages, Rick, and potential food shortages as well. What is this that Joe Biden meant by sacrifice for the cause?
You know, he was talking the same language at the beginning of the Ukraine situation. Tim, I can't believe that more of the American people haven't figured this out. But I should say, listen, if a guy's polling in the low 30s, that's generally the dyed-in-the-wool. They're going to vote for Joe Biden, no matter what, 25 to 30%. So the fact that 65 to 75 to 70% of the country has figured this out between his rhetoric on Ukraine, his rhetoric on Russia, his rhetoric on Donald Trump, his rhetoric on January 6th, it's all lies. And people are starting to figure it out, and they're ready for this guy to exit stage left, even if it's Kamala Harris that replaces him for now.
All right. Dr. Oz is running for Senate in Pennsylvania, focusing on plans to reduce inflation and enforce law and reduce crime. Here's his opponent, John Fetterman, and his priority.
And you can count on us to eliminate the filibuster.
So is the filibuster what Americans are concerned about right now, Rick?
Man, you watch that clip, Greg, and you got to ask, why do the Democrats keep going with these people that clearly, obviously he's still physically impaired. Do they not have any young people that are energetic and can speak well and actually are passionate about what they're fighting for? It's really shocking to see how the Democrat Party is falling apart. And the only thing I can, guess from that, Greg, is that when communists are behind the scenes, calling the shots and running the show, these radical activists behind the scenes, they need puppets. And these are the kind of people that'll be puppets for them.
And you did right to call him communist. All right, Rick, we caught former Vice President Dick Cheney's reaction to his daughter's primary loss and potential run for president in 2024. So there it is, Rick. Do you have anything else to add to the Liz Cheney saga?
Well, as far as Dick Cheney's concerned, it's sad. I used to be a Dick Cheney fan. I interviewed him 30 years ago and was very impressed by him back then. But you know what happens? We talk about it all the time here. Power corrupts, and this family and other families have been in power for too long. They become part of the system and part of the problem. I'm glad to see Liz Cheney gone.
Okay, to that point, less than 30 seconds here. Is the Bush era over then?
Oh, 100%, man. I think there's no doubt a new page, new turn for the Republican Party and for the country, and I think a positive one. Look, I think George W. Bush did a lot of good things for Texas as governor, and he did a lot of good things for America as president. But his way of thinking when it came to the 2008 crisis, economic crisis and mortgage crisis and other things, that ended the Bush era as far as I was concerned.
All right, Rick Green will be back in a moment.